Whereas ByuN has always been Marine Tank Man. He is a huge fan and a huge user of the Marine Tank, but we're going to talk about that as we get into game, because we have spawning down on the bottom left for Team Liquid. It is Cure.
And over here on the top right-hand side of the map, we have our red Terran player representing the Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN.
Now, this is going to be a little bit interesting to see if either player does something crazy in the early game. We're not seeing either one of them go for a proxy, but will we see a cheeky little one-racks expand out of either player? That's the big question. I'm interested to see.
Yeah, me too. I also just noticed something while they were showing the player cameras and everything as they were getting set up. Cure's keyboard had the exact same keycaps that Hero's replacement keyboard had. And now I'm wondering if Cure loaned Hero a keyboard.
There is a very good chance
I'm
of
so
that.
curious. Yeah, this is very possible. I mean, if it would just make sense, you know, like, oh, you already had to play earlier, so you know that he's still at the venue and everything. You had to play next, but you're not playing just yet. I don't know. This is curious thought. I don't know if it's actually the case though, or maybe they just, it's a common popular keycap. I mean, I even have that keycap set up, so I don't know, but still interesting to think about.
Very interesting to think about, because it was absolutely a different keyboard that Hero was playing with in that series. And I didn't want to mention it too much, but there were a few things that were different. Now, it might have been just a stylistic choice. For example, I was kind of talking about how I usually get aggressive in the early game, but he didn't really do that. He didn't really do that at all. In fact, he went for very quick sentries and no scout in many of the games. Now, we do see, as I was talking about it, Cure has gone for that one racks expand, that single gas opener. And ByuN, for his side, going for the much more standard double gas quick factory, which is, of course, the more stable and safe way to open this game. We do see the Cure still built the Reaper, right? He still has the, did he? Okay, he did build the Reaper. Where is it right now? Is it? Where's he got that? Where's he got that little guy? Okay, it's just on the ramp. Okay. I just wanted to make sure he wasn't doing anything wild with it, because I was like, that would be very out of character for Cure to like have the Reaper in a very aggressive position. He's always been a pretty standard, stable player. ByuN is going to see what he can do with these first couple of Reapers. He did open up with a quick Cyclone, so it's not going to be Reaper Hellion, but will try and still maybe take advantage of the fact that his opponent won't be able to compete with him. He is going to see that it's a one racks expand, but good positioning from Cure. Ooh, almost gets the first Reaper, but not quite.
Yeah, is going to get forced back. It goes chasing after them with his own Reaper as well, hoping to maybe get that first little shot off, or maybe even just sneak across the map and get a little bit of scouting information in exchange for that Reaper's life. But Cyclones are popping on out. Don't think that we're going to be seeing too much outside of just scouting information really coming out of the Reapers or anything now. So both players able to get into a good old setup, with ByuN finally finishing up his own command center on location, and start finally mining from there as well.
Yeah, and of course, if you get away with the one racks expand in TVT, usually it ends up being about a 3.5 to 4 worker lead by the time your opponent's orbital command is done, assuming you've hit all of your timings on worker production, etc. But of course, there is now options for ByuN, who went for the faster tech, to try and take advantage of that and maybe get a little bit of work done himself. We do see a cute little kind of picking up the kids on the way to school, little carpool action. It's going to be a Cyclone, 2 Marines, and 2 Reapers, but Cure is already on top of this to greet this, and he gets a fair bit of damage done with the first lock-on. That's very nice for Cure.
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder to get really a whole lot done if your medevac is already taking even a slight beating there, just because you really want to be able to do that pickup micro. You want to be able to break the Cyclone lock-ons, but if your medevac is low on hit points and your opponent locks their Cyclone onto your medevac, well, that's your escape mechanism. That's the way to get home with the remainder of your units so you can escape alive. So it's a very, very dangerous game. And, you know, I have to say, I feel like, Dave, we've been watching a lot of the TVTs today. Is this like one of the first TVTs where both players actually open up interference matrix that we've seen across the entire like weekend?
It feels like there has been a lot of double starport play and not a whole lot of just standard openers. Yeah, I got to agree. I think this might be the first time we've seen both players going interference matrix, and at least the games we've cast, at least from what I can remember. Maybe there's like one or two that have had that normal setup, but even this one is not exactly a normal setup because it got ByuN opening up with a quick second barracks, very quick stim. He's going to try and get some pressure on the map. Cure opened up with the more standard, very fast third CC, which will mean his economic lead extends even further. But it could be a little bit difficult for him to deal with if ByuN can get set up in the main base. I do believe ByuN is going for the 2-tank Marine drop off of this, which is going to be very difficult to deal with. Cure did not cut tank production there, so they are going to be on even numbers. But if he's not in position and your opponent gets set up with 2 tanks in a good spot in your main base, you're going to have a very difficult time dealing with that.
Oh yeah, it's a nightmare scenario when you're Terran versus Terran and your opponent gets into that production line or even close to it with some siege tanks well situated, with the interference matrices available also to prevent you from really getting super well set up and just forcing you to go for an awkward break point. Double engineering bay is now finishing on up there for ByuN. Is going to fire up his one there's the armor upgrade. one upgrade is coming along on the way there for ByuN. It's going to be a little bit further behind from Cure, but that slightly faster stim timing is going to be pairing up very nicely with this push.
Yeah, this is really interesting to me because if Cure's setup is just far better if nothing happens. Faster upgrades. He cut a tank in order to do so, as we had the production pointing out. In fact, he's still not producing tanks unless I'm mistaken, so he is going to start to fall behind in that tank count. Okay, no, he's got one on the way now, but you got to be a little bit mindful as a result of this, because his army will be a little bit weaker in a straight up fight. We got ByuN trying to sneak up on Cure, which is a funny thing to say. It looks like if you looked at this from just nothing else, you would assume that there was information, but Cure, he is going to get hit a little bit in the face by a tank shot. However, he didn't commit super hard to this. Cure did go for an extra Raven, which the 3 Raven style has kind of fallen out of favor, but it does mean that he has so much control over these engagements. The anti-armor missiles, the auto turrets, the interference matrices make this really tough. And now he's going to catch a tank in the middle of the map with that interference matrix. Will he be able to convert the kill? I'm pretty sure. Actually, he's going to get both of these. This is amazing for Cure.
Yeah, I mean, forget the whole, oh, maybe he's going to be lower on the siege tank count because he wasn't producing as consistently with them. No, it's actually working out just fine. Loses one of the Ravens over there. Got to be really careful about those. And still has these Ravens so far forward. He's going to actually go for the dive. Sims forward. Right clicks down. A lot of these Marines. Finally gets one of the siege tanks. Another one of the siege tanks did manage to unsiege in time before being interference matrix. And I mean, kind of interesting trade there. Cure also, by the way, has been taking these trades with 1-1
Oh, no!
done.
ByuN, no!
ByuN!
He almost loses both Ravens. We are going to see Cure actually going back in here. I wanted to talk about that last fight. We got another one coming in behind it. Tank does go down. Cure is continuing to muscle his way forward, but is this a bridge too far? I feel like it will be. ByuN with a great spread, but there's more tanks in the back, so the Marines do mostly get cleaned up. Cure really trying to out-muscle ByuN in this on this position. And it does end up being a pretty even trade. I think all Ravens have died on all sides. Can we check the units tab?
There should be one, right? No.
It was from before. That battle report was showing the most recent battle. But something really interesting that happened is Cure went for a fight with less Marines because he knew his opponent had 2 tanks that were caught sieging, or rather caught unsieging and caught by the interference matrices, and they really messed up the concave of ByuN there. And that allowed Cure to take a fight with less units. He is really, really good at reading fights, and that has allowed him to kind of eke out some advantages in the mid game. Nice little multi-prong coming in from Cure. He's going to deny this base on the right side, on the left side. On the right side, we will see a good cleanup for ByuN, but the 4th command center goes down while Cure has his well on the way, and a great position being grabbed by Cure.
Yeah, it's going to be able to siege up over here. Does commit him a little bit more to this, and the siege tank may end up being a little bit more vulnerable if he does have to escape out of here, but he has the Marine count to actually continue just being a nuisance here. A reinforcing siege tank even arriving over here. Vikings that have been made here for ByuN are going to complicate things, and it does force Cure back, but Cure is probably going to be pretty happy with the exchange of that 4th command center that was being built. and even just slowing down some of the production.
Oh, he's going to be ecstatic with it. He should absolutely be super happy. Something else that we didn't talk about, but is very evident if you look at the production tab, because of all the pressure Cure was exerting on ByuN, ByuN didn't start 2-2. He just started it up now. So there is a monster timing. There is like, what is that? A minute, maybe close to like a minute 15 where Cure's going to have an upgrade lead and ByuN will just not be able to compete in these Marine fights. And that is really bad for ByuN when he's already behind in economy. He's already behind in army supply. This just makes things very unpleasant. Now we do have Cure firing up that 3-3. It wasn't as fast as it could have been. This is going to be so good.
Whoa!
Oh my God, the interception.
Oh my God, upgrades be damned. It doesn't matter if all of your units are loaded in medevacs and not attacking. Cure is somehow still up in supply despite that. He's going to continue to try and put some pressure on with these siege tanks up on the top side. But oh my God, Cure losing so much supply with that.
That is a disaster for Cure. He is still in a good position in this game because of those upgrades, because of the economy, because of the, well, just the everything that he had, but it's nowhere near as big of a lead as he had. Most of the reason that the supply is still so high for Cure is that he has gone for the 8 racks double factory setup, not going to be going into those fast starports. But when you lose that many units, it really undercuts the edge you've got. We're going to be seeing Cure going once again for the split push. Ooh, ByuN did slip into the main base. That one medevac staying alive by the skin of its teeth. And this could be the damage that ByuN has been looking for a long time.
No, absolutely. He's going to have to also fend off against the aggression that Cure is putting on at the same time, though, as that 4th base is most certainly going to be under some strong pressure here. Drop in the main base does get cleaned up for Cure, so he doesn't have to worry about that as much anymore. He's also doing some counter drops on his opponent's natural. Does find a siege tank over there. Is continuing to put pressure on, and I really feel like Cure is just re-seizing all the control of the game again.
Yeah, and that's the power of this massive infusion of production. We do see, you can just reproduce units so quickly. We do see ByuN, of course, coming in with the counterattack. Chaos kind of reigning here on this map. ByuN doing what he does quite often, which is not building a planetary at the 4th, and that has allowed Cure to really just muscle through this position. Good tank positioning from Cure around his 3rd base, gonna really push ByuN back, or at least make him hesitate. And actually, there's just plenty of units here for Cure. He's going to clean this up almost no problem at this point. And this is just going to be too much for ByuN to handle. Cure looking into the camera there a little bit. Just very well done from him. He will take a 1-0 lead in not necessarily dominant fashion, but in extraordinarily confident fashion.
Yeah, while not necessarily every engagement or every trade went Cure's way, which I think would sometimes be like a tribute to someone who's just being really dominant in the game or the series, it's just his macro, his economy, his ability to just produce units was unparalleled compared to ByuN. You really just felt like the entire game he had a leg up in terms of his ability to get out enough units to just continue to throw at his opponent. And he still took decent trades here and there. It was a little bit back and forth. Sometimes there was moments like this where he kills off a free Raven, doesn't get the second one. But I mean, I feel like Cure just managed to keep even with the trades overall, but then got a continuous lead off of his production.
Yeah, Cure just played way more solid and read every fight better. This was really the only thing that went well for ByuN, and it's telling that it didn't even actually slow down Cure, let alone get ByuN back into the game. Cure was like, okay, fine, whatever. I lost a bunch of units. That's okay. I can replace them super fast. My economy's crazy. He didn't panic at all. And he was like, it was almost as though that was like part of the plan, you know? Like, it was like he didn't even care that he lost those units for free. And that just shows me how good of a read he had on that game. Something else that I didn't mention when I was talking about that one fight and the reason why Cure took it, he had 1-1 and combat shields as an advantage in that Marine fight that we saw, where I was talking about the concave. It wasn't just the concave. It was also a huge upgrade and power differential in those Marines. Like, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but 1-1 Marines with combat shields with stim against stimmed Marines that don't have any of those upgrades, I feel like you can take some really lopsided engagements and still win them.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, Kure was doing a great job of trying to exploit his timing windows of as soon as his upgrades finished, he was always in a position where he was ready to move out on the map and force another fight. I will actually say even the medevac mistake that happened where he basically just flew his medevac over his opponent's Marines. Kure did that because he was just finishing up 2-2 and he was now eager to go try and force a fight somehow. And that's when he decided to pick up all of his units into the medevacs and boost over in a more aggressive position. And that's how we ended up getting caught. So even the mistake was basically attributed to the fact that he was trying to take advantage of an advantage he had.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's well put. Spawning up at the top left for the Shopify Rebellion, it is the Red Terran player, ByuN.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have our blue Terran player representing Team Liquid. He is Kure. Sitting up 1-0, and yet again, man, I feel like it's just going to be the recurring thing that we say every single time we're 1-0 up in a best of 3 here in the knockout bracket. This is elimination for ByuN. He is one game away from having his dreams of the Esports World Championship crushed, his dreams of keeping his key alive and not having it pressurized by, into molecular atoms by the something crusher. I can't remember what it's called right now.
Hydraulic press.
It's still very early for me. Hydraulic
it is, in
press.
fact, yeah 6:30 a.m. for you.
Yeah, but we are of course still seeing a situation where ByuN's back is up against the wall, and he really has to pull it out now. He has no other choice but to win the next 2 games in a row, or it's over for him.
Yeah, and after some pretty great matches from him overall, even though he got double taken down by Oliveira in some incredible games, he's definitely, like I said, gonna want more. He won't be happy with his result as it is so far. We do see something rather interesting here out of ByuN. He went for a 1-Rax expand with a very fast factory behind it, whereas Kure has elected to not build that factory as quickly while also going for the 1-Rax expand. Kure going double Reaper instead, which is not standard by any stretch. You almost never build that second Reaper off of a 1-Rax expand before building the factory.
Yeah, curious what he's going to end up doing with that, or if he's just a little bit concerned about a potential thing that his opponent could be doing. I'm not sure.
I mean, it's weird because if your opponent opens up proxy 2-Rax Reaper, you're pretty much just dead. Because the second Reaper gets out so late, and you don't have much to deal with it. It would take I would say a mess up for that to happen. Now Kure, oh my god, this feels like he knows exactly what his opponent is doing. This feels like he's playing with map hacks on right now, because in terms of builds, this is so good for Kure. He has a fast 3rd CC against an opponent that has also gone 1-Rax expand. While he went 1-Rax expand himself, he has, cut. Oh, okay, this is super old school. He has cut the Marine in order to get the Reapers out, and has now gone for reactor Hellions. So something that's really interesting about this, I don't want to talk for too long, but the way that some players like to play off of 1-Rax expand, ByuN used to do this, is you would spend a lot of you would obviously be behind in gas, so the way you would make up for it is you would use Hellions as your early game kind of map control fighty units, and then you would still go straight into Raven behind it. This is a really cool build order from Kure.
Yeah, interested to see how it's going to end up panning out as the reactor Hellions. I mean, if you're making these early on, what is kind of your intention of what you want to do with them in this kind of in this era of TVT?
They're just your units to fight. They're early game units that don't cost gas. you can, in theory, maybe get some damage done later with them, but you're mostly looking to defend with them. So it is actually quite nice that ByuN is able to get in here, finds a couple of SCVs, and forces a little bit of lost mining time. That's actually pretty nice. And we can see Cure now is like, oh, okay, well, I'm probably going to have to split these units. It is going to be Cyclones behind this, which, of course, do cost gas, but Cure already has his Raven production underway. And I wonder if we're once again going to be seeing this very quick 3 Raven play from Cure. In a weird way, he's kind of playing old school TVT, but it's worked out really well for him in these first 2 games, at least so far.
Yeah, it's important to note also that with the thing that Cure is doing right now, with the reactor on that factory for so long, it did sort of delay having the ability to have the tech lab on to start building any of that siege tank count up. So that is going to be the sort of trade-off with this kind of composition that he has. So the Hellions are going to be nice for a little bit, but I am very curious how he's going to be dealing with the fact that his opponent now, I think, has up to what, like 3rd siege tank now popping out alongside these 2 in the medevac.
Well, the 3rd siege tank I'm not too worried about, but it is this drop right here that is going to be really scary. The thing is, Cure's already going to have 2 well, actually, what's the energy on that 2nd Raven? That's really important. Because if you have 2 interference matrices, he can clean this up. Yeah, there we go. Just got 75 energy. So if these tanks siege up, there is potential for Cure to maybe just swamp this. We are going to see ByuN committing in. 3rd Raven will have access to an auto turret. ByuN does not want to siege these tanks. If he does, I think he's doing the right move right now. Oh, look at that. He even baits out an interference matrix and draws it out. If he had sieged those tanks, it would have been a disaster for ByuN. But instead, he actually manages to force out the interference matrix and then retakes another position. That's phenomenal heads-up play from ByuN. Super smart.
And joining up with a 3rd siege tank as well, continuing to put on little bits of pressure. Is just barely out of range of the siege tank for the high ground. Marines stimming on forward for a moment, or moving on forward. Not quite able to find the damage that they were looking for. So they end up picking up and dropping back into siege tank fire. Actually, majority of the Marines have died now. ByuN can still continue to find little bits and pieces of damage here. He has a Liberator, and he is in range of the command center right now.
Yes, the Liberator, it makes this so much scarier for Cure because it puts him on a timer. He can't just wait. Ooh, but that Liberator moving a little bit too far forward. Great double lock on, and ByuN says, because he knows that is so important to this push. He needed that. Now he tries to rebuild the Liberator. Cure just got so much time for himself. He is going to start producing Vikings. Behind this, ByuN has added a 2nd starport. He is committing super hard to this. Nice little split target fire from ByuN. Able to get an extra volley on his opponent's Viking, but the repair is going to be good. This is a big commitment to air from ByuN. Cure may at some point have to lift the command center, pull the boys, and go for it. But if he can drop enough interference matrices, those tanks might just be invalidated for ByuN.
That is going to be a scary moment when it hits that point. The Viking battle is happening yet again, and it does look like it's going to go ByuN's way. But remember that you're at home. You could repair your Vikings, and that is going to be able to change the tide of the battle a little bit. Cure taking a slight health advantage now with his Vikings.
Yes, but he is still behind in the Viking count. Oh, if he can snipe that one Viking, that'd be great, and he does. The air superiority is so important. ByuN's position is amazing. He's mining off of a 3rd right now, but we do have to point out that Stim is now done. 1-1 is closing in, and this army, it is paper mache behind the strongest brick wall you've ever seen from ByuN, and he knows he's got to be so careful right now. Good attempted sneak up from Cure, but ByuN spotted it and was able to get the winning trade. Cure, if he can get the right interference matrices, he could potentially clean up this army and just walk across the map and win the game. So ByuN has to be, once again, so careful.
Yeah, going to be trying to hold this choke point over here. Just saying, okay, you can't just take advantage of your natural expansion high ground location to try and force a fight versus me, but you are still gonna have to move into a little bit of a choke point to try and take on my siege tanks. Like the idea of just leaving those 2 siege tanks sieged up. He can decide if he really wants to commit over here. He sieges back a little bit further, so it does seem like he still wants to hold this position, but man, this is going to be a very, very tense standoff. And I almost actually feel like, does Cure actually just have the availability now to start securing his 3rd base if he really wants to just be quick about it?
He's very close. ByuN is making it very uncomfortable for Cure to move out for that. Oh, Liberator on the main base. He realized, I don't know if that's the best use of the Liberator. We do see the Ravens coming in for a flank. This could be the moment that Cure is looking for. He's got a lot of interference matrices available. Does lose a tank, but he is going to force the unsiege. He's going to stim forward. The medevacs will try and get away with some of the tanks, but this is the situation I was talking about. ByuN may have overstayed as well. Can Cure just smash through on the other side of the map?
Marines buying themselves a little bit of time for the medevacs to get on away. The Vikings even turn around and snipe off one of the Ravens and try and get a little bit of damage done. Scans coming forward. He sees the siege tank on the high ground, and Cure has no chill right now because he feels that there is an opportunity, a window here for him that he just does not want to miss.
No, he does not. Look at the army supplies right now. He can pump out so many Marines. Scan will come down. ByuN tried to set an ambush with the tank, but Cure did not run into it. I feel like Cure can just go right now. And he is going to stim forward. The tanks need some massive shots. We will see, a huge clump up of the Marines. SCV is buying a lot of time. Cure, hello? He just backed away from that. I feel like Cure actually really just misread that fight. He clumped up his Marines so much going around that corner. That was the timing that I feel like Cure could have just ended the game. He still does manage to equalize the SCV count, maintains an army supply lead, but that was the scariest moment of this game. Now, I think all the Ravens are dead. The Marines are super overstimmed. Yeah, all the Ravens are gone. ByuN has survived an incredibly scary moment in this tournament.
He definitely has survived for a little bit, and the medevacs are also still going to be in a very vulnerable spot with how many Vikings ByuN has. But also just even looking at things like the upgrades over here, is he actually okay? Is he going to push in again? This could end up working out. This is getting a little bit scary, pushing into that many siege tanks. SCV is getting pulled off the line again. It seems like it is going to be able to be enough to do some more damage. 25 more workers end up falling. Maybe that ends up being enough. 2-2 is also nearly finished up, so he is going to be 4 upgrades ahead of his opponent very soon. ByuN is going to be hanging in there, but it is in a very weird spot now as the game goes on to the further stages of the matchup.
Yes, but he lives, and he should not have been allowed to live. I will say that attack was very successful, the second one out of Cure, because it killed a ton of workers, but it could have once again ended the game with how out of position ByuN was. His tanks were not ready to set up on that third base. ByuN, though, we do have to point out, he has a 4th command center, so he can absolutely recover economically. And while 2-2 upgrades are huge, it's not Bio versus Bio. Oh man, this Liberator is in such an assy position. These Liberators are getting so much value, 16 kills. And it's actually sieging the production there. So many Marines are gonna die. The value of this Liberator is insane. But this game, so many times could have already been over, and ByuN's tournament life could have already been done. But he has actually gotten such a lifeline.
Now we'll see if he can convert it into something. He is still going to be playing a little bit further behind, not necessarily as much in terms of overall supply, but 4 upgrades down, and basically now saying, okay, I have to go just straight up into my mech style at this point with the double armory upgrades at least coming on out. This is a rough spot.
It's a super rough spot. But sorry, I didn't even finish my point from before about mech upgrades. If you have enough tanks sieged up, the upgrades don't necessarily matter per se, because the tanks just do so much damage. They're obviously important, but they're not necessarily as important as Bio versus Bio. Great little Hellion run by. Will actually find a good number of Marines. Decent little trade for Cure, or for ByuN, and he's also able to find some SCVs. ByuN just took a supply lead, albeit momentarily, and it's basically, you know, pretty even right now. But think about where this game was like 3-4 minutes ago. Oh my God, is he actually going to do this? Don't do it, Cure. Okay, he turns around instantly. That was
Did he see the Vikings?
I feel like he must have. There's no reason you would turn around that fast with that much urgency. And the Vikings of ByuN also moved. Medevacs do have a lot of sight. Like, they have a lot of vision.
I'm curious because the Vikings moved, but they moved away from the medevacs, not toward them.
Yeah, but I think it might have just been like an instant reaction, kind of less thought, more gut. And you're like, oh, units, my units just spotted something. They need to
press the
clump
control
up.
group. I see something on the mini map. Just move them away.
Move it away for half a second. Yeah, exactly. Man, I really can't believe that this game is still going on. It's actually insane. We do have a nice siege position from Cure. ByuN is gearing up for potentially a push through the middle. Oh my god, that would be so bold. Does Cure have anything to defend against this? Cure can't break through with this army at the moment unless he gets a huge doom drop.
Yeah, can we get one more look again at the siege tank count for Cure? Just a quick peek again, because I'm a little bit concerned about this push coming forward, and I feel like this is gonna get to be a little bit scary. Medevac drop in the main base of ByuN is going to also complicate things. So yes, there's a siege up over at the planetary fortress, but this is going to be a slow push in over here while the Bioforce jumps in on this army. There's no support for him. He comes in from almost every single angle, and he's still doing damage in the main base.
That was a beautiful engagement, and now ByuN, oh no, the Vikings, not like this. Every single Viking going down. Cure getting into the main base, getting a ton of damage. ByuN kind of snuck across the map, but he wasn't wedged into a corner, so Cure was able to get this massive surround on him. Now he's going to charge forward. He doesn't care about the tanks. There's not enough to actually stop this army. GG just got called, and Cure, big smile on his face. That is a fantastic turnaround after his opponent got a great contain and a really nice setup. Cure was able to continue to fight through, stayed focused, and advances on to the next round.
Big congratulations to Cure. He did a phenomenal job in that TVT, just